Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Beloved. In the last couple episodes in this new season, we've been talking about what it looks like to grow up in unhealthy environment and how these patterns can follow us into adulthood. Continuing on in the discussion of father wounds and healing from father wounds, but more specifically focusing on the narcissistic parent. But today I want to zoom out just a little bit for a moment because the last couple episodes have been very psychological and I wanted to bring it back to Bible. Long before we had a language of psychology, long before we started using terms to describe different behaviors and patterns, the Bible was already speaking about these things in a very different way. So there's this passage in 2 Timothy chapter 3 where Paul lists out a series of traits, and when you read them, they feel very familiar. He describes people as lovers of themselves, proud, boastful, abusive, ungrateful, without love, unforgiving, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not lovers of what is good, conceited, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. And then he says, having a form of godliness and denying its power. Actually, I want to read the actual verse. So it's taken from 2 Timothy chapter 3. I'm reading from the English Standard Version. But understand this, that in the last days there will come times of difficulty, for people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good, treacherous, reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Avoid such people, for among them are those who creep into households and capture weak women, burdened with sin, and led astray by various passions, always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth. Just as Jannes and Jambres opposed Moses, so these men also oppose the truth. Men corrupted in mind and disqualified regarding faith, but they will not get very far, for their folly will be plain to all, as was that of those two men. That is taken from 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1 to 9. So, when you read that list, it's hard not to recognize those patterns in real life. Not just in extreme situations, but in everyday relationships. In dynamics that on the outside might look completely normal. This isn't about diagnosing people or putting labels on them, but it is about recognizing patterns of character. Because when you've grown up around certain behaviors or you've been exposed to certain things for a long time, you can start to normalize things that are actually harmful. You can start to question yourself instead of questioning what you're experiencing. And what this passage does is it brings clarity. It names the behaviors that are often confusing when you're in the middle of them. And what is also important is how we respond. Because that same passage ends with the instruction to have nothing to do with such people. And that can sound very absolute. It can sound like immediate distance, immediate removal, and immediate separation. But when you look at the broader context of scripture, you see that the response is more nuanced than that. In the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 18, there's guidance on how to handle conflict, especially with other believers. And it says that if someone sins against you, you go to them privately and you address it. And if they don't listen, you bring one or two others. And if they still don't listen, then it becomes something that you create distance from. So there's a process, there's an opportunity for accountability, there's an opportunity for correction, and there's an opportunity for change. And I think that it's important because it shows that the goal is not just separation. The goal is clarity, truth, and where possible, restoration. Because don't forget that there's also the verse in Romans, which I will link. I can't remember the exact verse right now, but it basically says, as much as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. So you can only do what you can do. You are only in control of you. It also acknowledges something else, that not everyone is willing to change, right? So not everyone is open to truth. Not everyone responds to accountability. And that is where discernment comes in. Because you can do the right things. You can communicate clearly. You can approach someone with honesty and integrity and still find that nothing changes. And in those situations, the instruction in 2 Timothy starts to make a lot more sense. Not as something harsh or reactive, but as something protective. And it's not about cutting people off impulsively. It's about recognizing patterns and choosing not to continue participating in something that is consistently harmful. And for many people, especially in family situations, it's not always simple. You can't always just walk away. But what you can do is you can stop ignoring what you're seeing. You can stop minimizing it, and you can stop explaining it away. You can begin to acknowledge that certain patterns are not healthy, they are not loving, and they are not aligned with the truth. And that shift alone is very significant, because once you begin to see clearly, you begin to respond differently. And this isn't something that necessarily happens all at once, and not necessarily something that happens just perfectly, but differently. And that's where the change really begins, not just in other people, but in yourself. Because the goal isn't to label people or to become critical of everyone around you. It's to develop discernment, to understand what you are experiencing, and to stop calling something normal that was never meant to be called normal. So I really hope that this episode was helpful and provided some scripture for reflection. In the upcoming episodes, we're going to look at discernment a bit more. We're going to also look at types of narcissistic abuse. We're going to look at types of abuse in general, like the kinds of things that qualify as abuse that, they go unchecked because they are not illegal. So yeah, looking forward to those discussions. For deeper discussions and a lot more resources and other forms of content, you can also join me on Substack at Beloved of Cherise. And depending on where you're listening from, of course, these podcast episodes are available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever things are usually streamed. So you can find me in those places. But yes, see you soon. And until next time, it's rooted in truth, wrapped in grace. And always remember that you are beloved.